All right, welcome to this deep dive. Today we're digging into a really interesting piece of source material. It's an excerpt where an author gives their personal observations about Segun Showunmi.
Yeah, and the core idea, really, is something the author calls doublespeak, specifically about Showunmi's political stance, regarding Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government.
Right. So our goal here is to unpack what this author is saying, look at the examples they give.
And just understand their perspective on this apparent difference between private talk and, well, public appearances.
And what makes it quite interesting is that the author grounds this in, like a shared history.
Exactly. They mention right away that they knew Showunmi from way back, University of Lagos, UNILAG.
Yeah. They even say they live in the same place, Henry Carr Hall. So it suggests this isn't just a fleeting observation. It's informed by knowing him for a while.
And that leads into a key moment the author describes. It's apparently right after the 2023 presidential election. According to this account, Showunmi got in touch. And he was supposedly pretty unhappy with how things were going in the country.
And the author says Showunmi actually proposed they, team up, form some kind of front?
Yeah, push back actively against the ruling elite, as the author quotes him. And apparently he specifically mentioned Tinubu's regime as the target.
Okay. And this is where that UNILAG connection comes back in, right?
Yeah.
In the author's telling.
Precisely. The author says their response was to bring up that shared history, Henry Carr Hall again.
They reminded him about freshman year and how the author saw him act during, student politics back then.
Yes. The author paints a picture of someone, Showunmi, who was apparently great with words, rallying students with speeches, very charismatic.
Yeah.
But the author observed that when it came down to actually leading or taking responsibility during, say, a student protest or something challenging, Showunmi always seemed to have a reason, an excuse, the author calls it, to step back.
I see. So the author basically used this perceived pattern from the past.
To challenge him directly in that conversation after the election.
Asking point blank if he'd actually stick with it this time, given the potential pushback from the very regime he suggested opposing.
That's the account, yeah. A direct challenge about his resolve.
And the result. Did Showunmi respond?
Well, according to the source material we have, the author states there's been no reply to that question, not to this day.
Okay. And that lack of response for the author sort of sets the stage for how they viewed later events.
You got it. The author writes, they weren't surprised then when photos started appearing. Showunmi seen with Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself in Lagos.
So these public photos happening when there was maybe some talk of coalition discussions.
Right. The author sees those photos as, completely contradicting that earlier private conversation about forming an opposition front.
That's the core of the doublespeak claim then, that contrast.
Exactly. That perceived gap between the private suggestion and the public action.
Okay, so let's just recap the author's main points here. The central claim is this doublespeak.
It starts with that alleged post-election contact, the proposal to oppose the regime.
Then the author's challenge, drawing on that specific UNILAG history, the student leadership thing.
Followed by the reported silence, no response to the challenge.
And culminating in the author seeing those later photos with Tinubu as confirmation, essentially, of that perceived inconsistency. It's presented as a kind of pattern.
A pattern they observed over time.
And it's really crucial to stress this. What we've discussed is one author's account. It's their interpretation based on their experiences and interactions.
Absolutely. It's just one perspective presented in the source material.
Which does raise a broader point, maybe something for you, the listener, to think about.
Yeah, how do you navigate understanding public figures, especially when you encounter these kinds of situations, potentially different stories about private conversations versus what you see them doing publicly?
Particularly in politics, where things can shift so quickly. It's definitely tricky territory weighing those different pieces of information.